Carrier landing. Hey, welcome. This is Eddie on Rock and Roll RC. I'm going to tell you a little bit about my favorite airplane of all time from Hangar 9, available through Horizon Hobbies, Tower Hobbies, all those hobby outlets. The Hangar 9 Ultrastick 60. I'm going to tell you all about my troubles and tribulations, the fun I had, the upgrades, the downgrades, the time I put my foot through the wing, and all the other fun things. We now have available to us the plug-and-play brushless version, all set up and ready to go from Horizon Hobbies for about $549 as of this recording. Once you purchase this aircraft, all you have to do is bind it with your radio, preferably a Spectrum radio, and add a battery, charge it up, and go fly. My interest in the RC hobby started when my dad used to take me to J&J Hobbies in Kingston, New York when I was a little boy. I never understood why Janet would never sell me those big fancy things that were in her front window until she told me the story about Mark Hogenkamp. I didn't realize he was famous, even though he was my neighbor for a good couple years. Later in life, they made this movie called Welcome to Marwen with Steve Carell. It was pretty cool, actually. I enjoyed the movie very much. It's a pretty accurate portrayal of Mark Hogenkamp's life. Read up about him in the news. It's a pretty sad story, actually. In J&J Hobbies, they also had that big New York State Police helicopter that I always dreamed of owning. But these sufficed along the way. I enjoyed flying at many places. This one is Saugerties, New York. This field is Accord, New York on 209. This is Thomas Bull Park down in 416 in Orange County, New York. And lastly, the Secret Farm for Orange County Flyers in Orange County, New York. This is the original version of the Hangar 9 Ultrastick 60 from around 2002 when I bought it. And I enjoyed it. This version is when I had the 4-stroke supercharged engine on it, and then later the same engine and getting into FPV. This particular engine is the biggest piece of crap ever, the GMS 76. The best engine I ever ran on that plane was the FC 110 from YS Engines. Man, what an awesome motor that thing is, especially on 30% helicopter fuel. The GMS 76 engine did not like to be tuned. I don't know if I had a bad one or what, but it was a horrible, horrible motor that caused me a lot of issues, crashing, rebuilding, recovering, and eventually I just put my foot through the wing and gave up on the GMS 76, put it in the garbage. Along that same period, I had a protege that was also a giant piece of crap. Notice my son doesn't have a gadget in his hands. He's outside. And this is probably the 19th time I recovered it in the FPV days when I actually had a camera mounted somewhere on the plane. After I put the YS 110 engine on there, I never really had to deal with any recovering issues. I just had fun with it, but the FPV technology in those days was quite horrible. I had on this airplane a helmet cam that the motorcycle racers would use back in the late 90s, early 2000s. The wireless transmission part was made by Black Widow, and it was good for its time. But it's much better now, thank God for that. The signal from the downlink was recorded onto this little Arcos hard drive. These days we have the DJI FPV system. It is light years better for everything compared to the old days. I mean, look at the difference is incredible. But here it is. Here's the helmet cam. Compare that screenshot of the Fortec with this DJI FPV system mounted on top of an FG 1/5 scale electric car. Much better, much better. I've always been a fan of single stick transmitters, but of course they don't make them. I ended up buying a Futaba 9 CAP for both helicopters and airplanes, and it did me well. Of course I modified it. You can still use this transmitter with a module on the backside. This time around I'm going to be using the Spektrum NX10 transmitter and receivers. I don't have time to be sitting around programming stuff, and this will do me fine. I just have to bind it up to whatever airplane I choose to get, take it out to the field, and fly. I mentioned that I had issues with the GMS 76 ring engine, and this is just one instance that I actually had footage of when the airplane was fairly brand new. And again, it stalled, and this is after it was running. I had a gallon through before I even put it on an airplane, and it still would not tune, and it just stalled, and at least it landed on its wheels. It wasn't a total loss. No loss at all. I just ripped that engine off. I lost the footage that I had collected along the way. In Hurricane Irene, our house flooded and the hard drive was lost. Couldn't recover any of the footage. But here's one really good clip that I've pretty much edited all of the distortion and drop frames out of as best I could without losing too much. But this is with the UltraStick 60, the YS FZ110 supercharged engine, and I was flying the hell out of it this day down at Ed's farm. This is the UltraStick 60 with the YS FZ110 supercharged motor on the front, running 30% helicopter fuel because it didn't have enough power in the first place, right? And it would pull the... Oh man, it was fun to just go straight up in the air with this airplane. Had a lot of fun. Sadly, this aircraft is no longer with us. Its expiration date was sometime in 2005, and it no longer exists. The elevator fell apart mid-air, and it buried itself. It's also downlinking with the Black Widow transmitter from the helmet cam that's mounted on a servo under the left wing, and we just had a great time flying that day. All of us were there. And then check this out, just grease it right in. Hey, thanks for watching. Bye.